What's the hardest thing you went through?
At the time that my dad died, my second mum died, my best friend got stabbed and killed. That period of time was probably the worst time of my life. The way I was feeling, most people would have swung.
The thing with death is that everybody always thinks that it's the end, when really energy can only be transferred and never destroyed.
Khalid Louis.
Entrepreneur, millionaire, and social media influencer.
My mum always said I was either going to be a bank robber or a bank manager. There was no in between. And to actually step away from that.
He turned his life around and is now the CEO of the biggest agency in Dubai.
Because we help our clients with that. Networking, we've helped with finding guests. We offer a realist 360 solution. People talk about how to be a masculine man.
Yeah.
Mate, honestly, bro, half of these people are wrapped in a bubble. Something bad happens to them now, they cry. When you learn to not fear death and not fight fate, life just becomes so much content.
Khalid.
Nice to meet you.
What's up, my brother?
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the podcast.
It's nice to be here.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. Appreciate you. I came across you through one of my friend's wives.
Okay.
Kept reposting your quotes or something like that. And then she said to me, we were having dinner at Arts Club, and she was like, "Oh, you should get this guy on." I was like, "Who is he?" And I didn't know who you were. I was like, and she showed me, and I went on. I was like, "Okay," and I couldn't really hear anything because it was loud. But then when I went home, I had a look at some of the things you were saying and stuff like that, and I was like, "This guy looks like he'd be an interesting character to get on the podcast, and wise character, right?" So, where do you get that wisdom from? Do you drive through, you're stuck in traffic and you quickly think of something and write it down?
No, years of, I've lived a long life in a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen it all, done it all.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes everything starts with points of inspiration. So sometimes I'll see something or I'll find something in a book and I'll think about it, I'll digest it, and then I'll just deliver it in a way that it applies to me.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, my content, the content pillars that I have are motivational content, how to make money on social media, and faith, which is why I attract a lot of Muslim business owners and like-minded people, which is obviously how your friend's wife see me, I'm assuming. So yeah, when I try to deliver something on my social media, really what I'm doing is I'm speaking to myself, as in I'm speaking to the man. I'm speaking to the man in the mirror.
Damn.
It's because I never had the guidance that I should have received when I was younger. I'm speaking to myself and 100,000 other people.
Wow.
So it's a bit of therapy anyway.
Bit of both.
Bit of both, yeah.
Wow. And
I try to give back what I never got.
Where do you come up with this? Just in your head, or is it just reading, faith?
Truthfully, honestly, I'm trying to write. I'm trying to make up for 10 years of bad decisions. So I'm trying to do whatever I can to make sure that I get into heaven and just do as much good as I possibly can, because I've been blessed, brother. Honestly, there's no difference between me and anyone else in Dubai, but I've been really, really blessed and been given things in abundance, and I'm probably one of the most undeserving people. So yeah, I try to give as much back as I can, because in my mind, if I don't, it can all be taken away, because everything is God-given. Everything.
Of course.
Yeah, it was never me.
So are you writing a book?
I've been asked to many times, but I don't think I should write a book. Not anytime soon. I'm not quite finished yet.
Sure.
Nowhere near.
So to answer my question, it could just while you're driving and you think, reflecting on your long short life, you just think of things and then you kind of write it down. And then...
Sometimes I'll see things online. Sometimes I'll see things in books, and it'll resonate with me, and I'll think, yeah, that resonates with me, but to a lot of people, it wouldn't, because I'm a revert. So sometimes when I see things that are inspirational, I see them and I try to make them applicable to Islam. Because everything I do in business, in life, I relate it to Islam. Majority of the time. That's how I figure things out. Because again, I never had the guidance, so the only guidance I have is that. You know?
Got you. What's the hardest thing you went through? Because I can see you've been through a lot.
Without trying to get cancelled.
I'm trying to get cancelled.
So I spent many years in prison. I've spent 6 years of my life in prison.
Okay.
So I would say that at the time that my dad died, my second mum died, my best friend got stabbed and killed, and my other best friend got life for avenging his murder. Well, it was a situation related to that. That period of time was probably the worst time of my life because I was away from everybody and I was trying to figure myself out as well because I shouldn't have been in at that time. I'd already kind of gone straight at this point and shouldn't have been there. But I was put in a position what led to me being put back in prison, and I knew that I didn't want to be there. It wasn't like the times before where you'd walk around the exercise yard and you'd be planning your next sentence on how you're going to do this and that around Europe. Mm-hmm. But this time I just didn't want anything to do with anyone. So I was in my books, I was reading Quran, and I lost 4 of my main people, my closest people to me at that time. So I'd say that was probably the worst time.
Did it all happen in 1 year?
Yeah, that happened within the space of 2 months.
2 months, yeah. That's usually the case. When I speak to people and they've been through something and they go, look, I've been through that all happened in 1 year. Jesus.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
And when you say when all this was happening in the space of 2 months, were you in prison or were you out of prison?
I was in prison.
You was in prison. So you felt helpless. You couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Could you leave prison to go to the funerals?
That's another story. So I did, at first I felt helpless, but then I remembered kind of my own coping mechanisms, and all I was doing in that 8x4 was burpees and reading Quran. So I got myself through it. Trust me, most people, the way I was feeling, most people would have swung. I'm telling you, I've seen it happen. I've seen so many people kill themselves in and out of prison for less kind of impactful stuff, over less impactful stuff. But yeah, that's how I kind of got through it, just training hard, reading. And when it comes to the funeral, the security governor wouldn't sign it off because of intel that they thought that I had the capabilities to escape because of the crimes that I'd been not charged with, but I'd been arrested on before in the past, and my family and my friends. So they knew that we had the capabilities that if I wanted to, they could get me off the bus. But after appealing with my solicitor, and because I only had a short period of time, and the fact that they wanted to keep me calm in prison, they didn't want, because I'd been doing good at that point. I was a totally different person, and they knew that they could awaken something if they didn't. So they eventually let me go, but I was handcuffed to 2 officers.
Wow.
With a 3rd officer present at my dad's funeral. And I didn't have any control over it. I couldn't give any guidance. And the sad part about it was I knew that my dad was Muslim. But his side of the family, they burnt him, and they didn't give him a Muslim burial. And I couldn't do anything about it because I was cuffed to 2 officers, and I couldn't say anything. Because even if I'd have said anything, that would have come across as I would have been assertive, but if I'd have said anything and it could have sounded slightly irate, which it probably would have led to that, I would have ended up having an argument. They would have just twisted me up and put me back on the bus. So I had to sit through it and just like pray my own little way.
Your dad was a Muslim, but he came from a Christian family. So that's why they cremated him.
Yeah. So my uncle actually led the service.
Got ya.
Yeah.
Got ya.
He's a pastor.
Why didn't they respect his Muslim belief? Was it secret?
No, they didn't know.
Oh, they didn't know.
I only found out because the first time I met my dad was in prison.
The first time you met your dad was in prison?
The first time I met my dad, I was in prison.
The story just gets crazier and crazier.
So I was young. I was a young man. So my dad left when I was young.
Yeah.
He had a lot of money through ill-gotten gains doing what he was doing. My mum left him because when she got pregnant with me, she obviously didn't want a lot of life for me, and he couldn't change his ways. So yeah, he went his separate way. And then when I was young, when I was like 18, 19, I met my dad for the first time in prison, and I knew he was Muslim then. He was Muslim before I was, but I knew he was Muslim. And then I'd see him on and off. We got close on that sentence. It was great. It was weird. And then I'd see him on and off in life. When I was trying to look out for him and stuff, and he'd look out for me from a distance. But yeah, I knew he was Muslim. But his family didn't, because he was the black sheep of the family.
Sure.
Yeah.
How often would he visit you?
We'd see each other every few months. I'd either pay him a visit, or he'd pay me a visit, or we'd cross paths. It was weird because although I didn't feel like something was missing, I'd always end up finding myself going looking for him. So I'd go and find him wherever he was. Yeah, because we'd always lose touch. And we'd get back in touch for a bit, and then something had happened with him or something had happened with me, and we'd lose touch again. Because, again, I've lived a long life, and it wasn't always this solved and thought out.
You know, a few people I've podcasted with, I've come to a theory where when somebody like a parent dies, or a grandparent, or somebody that loves you, I've seen people's lives change as if that person becomes their guardian angel, and blessings just keep coming to them back to back. Do you feel like ever since somebody that you were close to, whether it's your best friend or whether it's your dad that passed away, do you feel that? Do you feel like there's any truth to that theory?
Well, I have a different outlook. I feel that everything is written. So I do believe that everyone they can speak for you on your behalf in the afterlife, but everything is written. It was written for him to die at that point. It was written for me to go through what I've gone through. And to be honest, if I didn't adopt that mindset, I'd probably be in a dark place, which is what a lot of people find themselves in. But because everything's written, on a good day we say Alhamdulillah, on a bad day we say Alhamdulillah. I don't care anymore. Like, you know, when you learn to not fear death and not fight fate, life just becomes so much content, so much more content.
How long have you been in Dubai for now?
Just a little over a year.
And how old are you now?
31.
31.
31.
And you went to prison when you were 17, 18?
I was first locked up when I was 16 for armed robbery. Got that dropped to a lower count. I received 3 years because I was a juvenile. That was the first time. The second time, I got out when I was 18. Tried to get a job, couldn't get a job. So I tried to join the military. Couldn't join the military because I had a 5-year firearms ban. So then I was pushed back into a life that I shouldn't have been pushed back into. And so my mum always used to say when I was younger, I was either going to be a bank manager or a bank robber. She wasn't wrong. And because I had, in my mind at that time, if I knew what I knew now, I wouldn't have stepped back in. But because I did, I just went all in for years. And I didn't surface for years. I was just in that life. And you name it, anything you can think of, I've done it. And it was only until when I got locked back up later on, in the time that my dad died, that's when I reconnected with Allah, and that's when I slowed down and became the person I am now.
I want to go into like your past, and then I want to go into your successes. Right, that's kind of like the thing that I'm kind of going into. You cool with that?
Yeah, of course.
So, at what age did you come out of prison?
So I got out when I was 18. I went back
After the 6 years.
No. That one I only got 3 years.
Yeah.
I was a juvenile. I got out. I was out for a year or so. I went back for another 3 years. So I got 3 years, do half. In the UK, you do half.
Yeah, and then parole the rest.
Yeah. On that sentence, that's when I reverted to Islam.
Sure.
In 2015.
You said you were in an 8x4 cell on your own, or did you have a cellmate?
No. Sometimes I'd have a cellmate, but there was an incident which wouldn't allow me to have a cellmate after that, so I ended up in a single cell, which I preferred anyway because I like to be in my own space a lot of the time.
Wouldn't everyone prefer that? Or was there some
very
people...
surprised. Most people can't cope. They can't cope. They need someone to talk to. A lot of people take a lot of drugs in prison as well to get through.
Got you.
But I like to reflect. I've got no formal education, no formal education whatsoever. I've got no GCSEs. Everything that I've ever learned has been self-taught through reading and business coaching and applying myself. And a lot of that knowledge, believe it or not, came from the books that I read in prison. because I had nothing else to do. Do you know what I mean? Other than apply myself and expand my mind and get fit. So yeah, that's all. I just like to be in my own space, read my books.
Why weren't you permitted to have a soulmate?
Because there was one cellmate, he was having an argument with his girlfriend, and then he carried on all night because they had phones in the cells. He carried on, wouldn't stop.
Illegal cells.
No. This was an actual phone.
But you're allowed?
Yeah, no. So yeah, they have phones in the cells in one of the locals.
Okay.
Where I'm from.
Got you.
And he was arguing back and forth all night, wouldn't stop, and we ended up having an argument. He said something I didn't like, so I chinned him. And then after that, I wasn't allowed soulmates.
So you come from a fairly violent past, right? Are you violent now?
No.
Do you have those tendencies? Do you ever think to yourself?
Sometimes, but it's the choices that we make that define who we are. Do you know what I mean? We're conditioned. Everyone's born innocent, and we're conditioned through our surroundings. So the way that you are raised and in the environment that you are raised, that's what will dictate what becomes your morals, your values, and the rules in your own mind. So some people have got a bit more leniency towards things that I probably wouldn't. Some people have got a bit of a longer fuse than what I would. For example, if someone ever spoke ill to my family in any setting, I've got no fear of consequence. However, for me now, because of what's happened and how much I've got to lose and the path that I'm on, I know that if I do something like that, it's going to throw me clean off. So I'm being tested all the time. And this is just part of the test. You'll be placed in situations to test your patience. The way that Allah tests men is with money. He wants to see what we're going to do with it. The way he tests women is with beauty. He wants to see what we're going to do with it. So for me now, I feel like I've passed the test to a certain degree, which is why I'm getting certain blessings. And if I fail anytime soon, then it's all going to get stripped. Again, going back to what I said before, I'm not the most deserving person. So for me to receive it, I have to be grateful.
And being tested with anything, like even violence, that's still got a gift from God. That's still saying, hey, will you go back to those tendencies or not?
No. It depends. You can never say never. Anyone who does is a liar. Anyone who tries to portray that there's something they're not is a liar, because we all have rules and morals in our minds. For example, somebody could let somebody speak to their wife in an ill way and just be like, hey bro, don't do that again. If someone spoke to my wife, my mother, anyone like that in an ill way,
it's on.
It's on.
On site.
It's on. This is what, and my business partner knows this as well. He knows that I'm.
But what's the level to it? What's the level to it? Because look, if there's a guy in her face yelling at her, that's obviously very intimidating. But if if it's a passing comment, you're this, you're that, like what's the setting? Any setting doesn't matter.
No, before I'd just fly off my handle, with anything that kind of is family oriented. But now my granddad always said, just because you can fight doesn't mean you have to. So now I'm more lenient in certain situations where if I already know I can put you out, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna kindly explain to you why you shouldn't say that and why you've got one chance to not say it. And then if you then want to take it upon yourself to take the piss at that point, it'll probably be on.
Tell me a crazy prison story you haven't told anyone.
I think the best story is how I reverted to Islam. That's probably I'll get into a crazy story, but this is probably the best story that I have from prison. It's one of the ones that I like to remember anyway. So on the sentence, when I reverted, I was locked up for a violent crime and also for supplying firearms in the UK. Well, I was on a case. And I was training at the time on the wing, And a lot of the officers in the prison at that time were ex-military. They were very racist. They always, and there was a bit of a boisterous kind of aura around them. Like they had this
Boys club.
Yeah, I think it was on steroids. There was very aggressive, big guys, and they had a little game on who could kind of pick on the most people, or do the most damage, or because they got bored, right? They'd be drinking coffee. If they had a boring day, they get bored, and they'd literally start with prisoners just to watch, just to have something to do that day. And unfortunately, on one of those days, it was me. So an officer started with me, was arguing back and forth. He swung a punch, I slipped it, cracked him. I got battered. I got tucked down the block, which is the segregation unit. In every prison in the UK, there's a segregation unit, which is basically isolation. You're in a cell on your own, no visits, no phone calls, no gym, no exercise with anyone. You get let out and exercise for like half an hour a day on your own in a small space. And the only thing that I was allowed at that time were my books. So I was reading my books. After 2 weeks, being on the segregation unit and then coming and checking on me, and realising that I don't care because I was just doing burpees and reading my books, they came in again and started on me because they wanted to crack me.
Of course.
They wanted to punish me. But I was happy in my own space. So they came in, started on me again. We had a rumble again. They battered me again. They took my books. So now the only books that I could read by law were religious books. So the librarian used to come around once a day with a little trolley. And I picked up the King James Bible, read that. I read parts of the Seerah before I picked up the Quran. I read many religious books. And as I was reading, the Imam came down on one day. He used to come down on his monthly rounds. So he came down to see me. He spoke to me through the gap in the door, and I could never see his face. But we'd have like religious debates and stuff. And then eventually there was a good officer on one day, and they allowed him to crack my door and open my door and have a conversation with me. Because they said that I was a threat to staff, even though they were a threat to me. Because what they used to do is they used to batter you.
Of course.
And then they used to make out like you swung the first punch just to punish you and keep your door locked.
Of course.
So now they've allowed him in. We became friends. Long story short, I took my shahada. The name Khalid actually comes from that Imam. He named after Khalid ibn Walid because he's a prominent figure in Islam.
So Khalid's not your birth given name?
Khalid's not my birthday given name. It was given to me by the Imam.
Amazing.
Yeah, so he was a prominent figure in Islam, like a feared general.
Are you still close with him?
The Imam, yeah.
You talk to him often?
Yeah. And in the months that I was let back out of the segregation unit, but I wasn't on the wing. But I wasn't. I hadn't taken my shahada. I was on the wing, and I was practicing the practicalities of Islam. So I was learning how to pray and stuff. I actually had a prayer mat given to me, and it had all the little pictures around it, what you give a child, because I didn't know, right? So I'm learning how to pray and stuff. Right?
Yeah.
And as that one day I'm praying, another officer sidewinds me from the side as I'm on my prayer mat.
And you can't break your prayer?
No, sidewinded me. But in that time, I'd become closer to the brothers because before that, I was very ignorant to Islam. So I was helping everybody. A lot of the Albanians, I were helping them with their English and stuff. And as that happened, they all went up. Everybody just went nuts. It went off. And over a period of time, I was known for like protecting the brothers. Like, for example, another time, one of the Albanians officers slapped food out of his hand. He thought he was Kurdish. He was being horrible to him. So I gave him my food, stared at the officer, and nearly got battered again. So when it come to me taking my shahada, they named me Khalid because I was known to be the guy that would always stick up for the brothers all the time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it came at a time where literally, for me, everything was taken away from me. So I was in a cell within a cell within a prison. So I was basically in a dungeon. I was locked away, no family, no visits, no phone calls. My books had been taken. So it's like a Lord stripped everything from my life and give me the Quran. You know? But there's a big difference between reverting to Islam and embracing Islam.
After that, I believe, but I still had one toe in that life. It took me many years after that. In the sentence after that, when everybody died, that's when I reconnected. And that's when I embraced Islam. And that's what straightened me out. Wow. Which led to me coming to Dubai.
Why did you become Dubai?
So I came, I invested, I went back, came again, invested, went back to the UK, met my friend here, who was a videographer for shooting content. We were creating content at the time, we were going back and forth. He pitched me the idea of setting up a podcast studio. So the podcast studio is basically service-based business model.
And you didn't want to be a podcaster. I was looking at it as a business.
And I was just looking at, so when I see startups, I invest in individuals. I don't invest in the actual, I invest in the concept, but I invest more so in the individual. And when I met Eamon, because at this point, whether I'd made money, I'm straightening out, I'm trying to straighten my life out. And I was very, very good at business by this point. Right? So when I met Eamon, I knew that he was a good brother. The way that he treated his parents, the graft that he'd been through being here, his story is amazing. And how he, again, the connection that he's got with his parents was kind of one of the biggest things for me, because I love my family like more than anything. And for me to go into business with people, it needs to be similar to myself, right? So he pitched me the idea. And with the podcast studio, unlike a property, if you were to short-term let a property and you was going to earn $100, $200 a night, with the studio you earn that an hour, and that's without editing, that's just with the renting space.
So with the same, at the same cost of renting the space, you actually 10x the revenue. And then when you pad that out with services like editing and whatnot, you've now got a cash flow and money generating machine, because it costs nothing to run. It's practically automated. And we use that. The only reason why I actually went into that is, one, because I understood the model, but more so because I knew that I wanted to relocate to Dubai and I wanted to build out a network. So we used that studio as one big lead magnet to attract the people that we wanted to network with, and everything from government, finance, real estate, e-com, marketing, media, the Cliche Times, you name it, right? The police, like everyone comes to that studio. People in all industries, right?
Sure.
They come to create content, and it's always good to have a network in multiple industries and multiple areas, so that you can be in the flow of money. Because the one thing that I understand the most on how to make dough is to position yourself within the flow of money. Now, Dubai is the second biggest creative hub outside of LA. It's got a population of what now, 3.6 million?
Yeah, something like
A
that.
footfall of 14 million, and tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people that descend upon Dubai are creators. They want to create content, whether they're a professional creator or not. So to create, and there's 665,000 registered companies, I think, in the UAE, which is going to due to double as well. So if you can provide something that attracts those individuals in business and in social media, you're obviously going to build out a network and position yourself in the flow of money where you can leverage media to make more money. So then what we did is we seeded the agency, because we realized that all of these guys needed help with scaling their audiences. And that's one thing that we're very good at, because he understands how to create viral content and I understand how to sell based on customer emotions through the coaching that I've paid tens of thousands of dollars for on the books I've read.
So you joint ventured and did that?
Joint ventured, banged that off.
Yeah.
Used it as a big lead magnet to attract people to upsell into the agency, and scaled it out.
Yeah.
Within five and a half months now. So over 100 recurring podcast clients and 40 high-ticket agency clients. One of them being the Cliche Times.
Wow. That's incredible. In 5.5 months.
5.5 months.
Crazy. And that's just the beginning.
That's just the beginning.
Yeah. That's what I love about Dubai. So much opportunity here, you know, and everyone's reachable, everyone's touchable, everyone's, you know, you can speak to anybody here.
That's the key. Reaching.
Yeah. Because I lived in New York for a year. And look, there's more money in New York than there is in Dubai. But good luck trying to speak to anyone in Dubai. Bro.
Same in London.
It's all cliquey.
Same in,
Did we go to school together? Did we not? Are you part of that community? Are you not? Like, they're all so cliquey. You can't get in here. You can be anyone you want to be.
Hate it. I hate that environment. It's the same back home. Whereas in Dubai, 95% of the people are expats. Everyone's here looking for opportunity. Everyone wants to help each other out. And that's what I like about it.
And because you didn't go to school together, you're not from the same community or anything, you're forced to interact. You're forced to mingle,
I love it.
right? Jews are interacting with Muslims. I see it all the time, right? Like there's no hatred or anything. Everyone's just in harmony. You know, that's the other thing. I've got a group of friends, and I've got a few group of friends. One of my group of friends, he was wanted for Interpol by a country because he went against them. It was basically a whistleblower, right? Basically went and said, look, these guys are doing this with the money and they shouldn't be doing that, whatever. He went to the airport to send one of his friends home, and they came and grabbed him at the airport. They said, "Hey, this country wants you." He was in prison for 3 days. Came out. They said, "Yeah, it was super nice. Everything." They said, "Yeah, look, we're going to find out what's going on with that country. If they don't come back to us with evidence, it's all good. After 6 weeks, you're done. You can walk the streets." Well, he can still walk the streets, but like, we got no problem with you. That government does. So we'll see what they come back with. If nothing in 6 weeks, then we're just going to ignore it, even if they ask us a second time. And in the 3 days he was in prison, he was just telling me how the prison here is just like, this is what I love about Dubai, and I love about the Middle East, and I don't really like about the West. In the West, there's a lot of drug use. People will hit you for no reason. You was praying. You were doing something peaceful. You were not a threat to anyone, and you still get hit in the face, right? In Australia, we've got this thing about stop like king hits. Like, we've got famous boxers that come out with campaigns saying, because people are getting king hit. King hit means hit from the back of the head. Because we've got people that fall, hit their head on the curb, and they die.
That's what happened to me.
Right? You got hit from behind.
No. That's what happened to me. That's the reason why I went back. Because, you know, when I told you, brother, at that time in my life, I'd straightened out. I'd already set up businesses. I was really, really done with that life. And what happened was, I was with a girl at the time, influencer back home. And obviously she got into a problem with someone. This guy became a bit weird. He poured a pint over her head in some bar. I was out of the way at the time.
What the fuck?
He started to message him weird messages and stuff, and threatened to acid attack and do all this weird stuff. So I never actually went looking for him, because my mum always said to me, "Do not do it. You've got too much to lose. We've got all of this. Don't do it." So I just didn't. I never went looking for him. But on this one day, I bumped into him in a bar, and I stuck it on him. And then we came outside. He came outside with a few of his friends, and I cracked him. When I hit him, he hit his head off the floor. But I never intended to cause that injury. Never intended for it. Obviously, one, because I'm in front of 500 witnesses, and two, because I don't believe in kind of, if someone deserves a crack, they deserve a crack. But I don't believe in kind of kicking people in the head, stamping. I don't do any of that, right? So I hit him once, and he fell over and he cracked his head. So his heart stopped, because his body was fueled with cocaine and alcohol at the time. So luckily there was an off-duty paramedic. They kept him alive. They airlifted him, took him. 2 weeks later, murder squad, because he was going to die. Murder squad have gone for every door related to me. Found money, found everything, all sorts. Then I was arrested. But during the case, it came to light that the police had tried to kind of hide a bit of CCTV, which showed that I only hit him once. They were trying to make out like I hit him loads of times. I kicked him all over. It never happened. I never kicked him all over. So, yeah, when that came to light, and the charge was dropped to a Section 20 wounding without intent, because I never intended to cause that injury. The sentencing guidelines could only sentence me to no more than a year, because it was wounding without intent, and only with my fist. And in the UK, it's all based. The sentencing guidelines are based on intent, right? If you have no intent, it's basically an accident in their eyes, even though it's still unfortunate. So, and in that time, I was doing that year, and that's when everybody was dying.
Wow. What year is this?
This was 2019, 20.
2020.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's kind of that was the nail in the coffin for me. The best way I can explain my life is, have you seen the movies where they're all doing jobs, doing banks, doing this, doing that? And it gets towards the end of the movie, and that one guy, he's had enough. He's like, he's got clarity all of a sudden for some reason. And he's had enough, and he's like, we're not doing this anymore. What's the point? What is the point in making all of this money to buy a high-performance car and drive around a council estate? What is the point? What is the point in making all this money to do what? To blow it overseas, to do what? What we're going to do with it? You can't do anything with it. So, and it's a very seedy environment when you're making that money and you're around these kinds of people, because the way they want to celebrate is with alcohol, with girls. We're going to this place, going to that place. And there's so much competition. He's bought this property, he's bought this car, he's got this one. It's not a nice environment. So
there's a lot of jealousy too.
Yeah. And there's no honor amongst them. So I decided to kind of like cut that life. And you know how in the movie, the guy walks off and the rest of them go on to get caught. They go on to do that final big job and get caught. That's near enough what kind of happened with most of them. But the camera never follows the guy that walks off into the sunset and follows his life. And that guy's me. So,
How's that? What happened to that guy that got hit?
he survived. He was in a coma for 2 months, and then he came round. Alhamdulillah. But it was he's brain damaged now. But this is one of the reasons why I'm a bit lenient. Whereas before I might fly off my handle and just let off a 6-shot combo. Now I'll think about it. I'll question myself. Because it's not nice to know that when if you crack someone, they can die. Do you know, before you wouldn't think that. No, Mike Tyson couldn't say I can hit someone 1 shot, kill them every time. Like you don't ever expect it to happen, and because in your heart you feel like you're doing what's right because that person is terrorizing the person that you love and you're a protector, you don't see the wrong in it. But then when someone obviously ends up in that situation, when I reflect on it, I think about sometimes how I've affected his life, because the state that he's in now is the state that my little brother's in, because my little brother, he got run over when he was 9 years old and he's brain damaged, and that's why we all take care of him. He has epilepsy and stuff. So the state that he's in, I know that his mother's taking care of him the same way that my mother has to take care of my little brother when I'm not there. So I could feel what the family's going through, but what can I do? What can I say? Because a lot of my friends, what they'll do is sometimes they'll give me the bad advice, but they'll be like, you did the right thing. If you went back, you'd probably do the same. It's just unfortunate. It's unlucky. But they will never understand where I'm coming from, because I can see my little brother, what I understand the struggle, what they're going through now. So it's a bit, it's catch-22, very difficult.
Did you end up putting that to bed? Did you go and apologize or do something?
I could never go and apologise because it went too deep. After that, there was a bit of back and forth, and I couldn't apologise. It went a bit too far. They did things. I was alleged to have done things. So I could never go back. But what I did do, and what nobody knows, I've never sold this to anyone, but I actually did when I first went to Umrah, I did an Umrah for him. And that was me kind of making it right. Do you know what I mean? And funnily enough, after I did that, life just got a whole lot better.
Yeah, like what my friend was saying when he went to prison, this was what I was telling you before. In Australia, people see, with your situation, it's a little bit different because you were provoked, something happened, you guys got into a fight. In Australia, people get hit from the back of the head without being provoked, walking on the streets, anything, right? Or trying to break up a fight. There's a manager of the nightclub trying to break up a fight, gets hit in the head, dies, 2 kids. And, you've got these people, these savages in prisons over there, and then it's almost like you're not rehabilitating anyone. Anybody that goes in there that could be innocent, you're criminalizing them as well. But here, he went to prison for 3 days, my friend, just because of the legal issues that he had with another government. He said, everybody's so nice. Everybody's so, what I love about Dubai and the Middle East is people here have common sense. Why would I hit that man? He didn't do anything to me. Why would I do this? Why would I steal from him? He didn't do anything to me, right? Over there, they'll hit you for no reason. Exactly. And it's a mixture of drugs, mental health issues.
Society in general.
Yeah, and it's hand in hand. Drugs and society.
I think, sorry, one being a Muslim country, and for me, again related to Islam. I'm trying not to do this too much here, but everything I do, I relate to Islam, and that's what made me be more patient and gave me common sense. Do you get it? Because before I wasn't very forgiving. I had no conscience, and now I do, and a lot of it is because I've become God-fearing. I'm not perfect. I don't ever claim to be perfect. Anyone that does is lying. Anyone that does is lying, but you can only try to do your best and apply yourself in the best way possible, right? And Islam, I feel that this country, even though it's very multicultural, I feel that is kind of the core that keeps it together. Because when you are God-fearing, and when you've got another guy in front of you, you can have 2 brothers having a full-blown argument, but then you can say to each other, why are we arguing? Do you really? And half of the time it can get cooled down because People understand that it's instilled in them. Forgiveness.
Yeah.
It's forgiveness.
Yeah.
It's instilled in them, and they always want to, but stubbornness sometimes won't let them.
Yeah.
Do you get it?
Yeah. Pride.
Yeah.
Ego.
Pride, ego.
Yeah. That's the worst. Yeah, no, I get you, man. I get you. I mean, we see it all the time in Australia where you got somebody that hits somebody in that family, and then because in Australia all the big crime families are Lebanese, so it's always on the news that this family killed somebody in that family, and they retaliate, and everyone's hard to learn, just back and forth. And it's embarrassing, and how they look at it as embarrassing. If you're going to kill my brother, I can't not retaliate. It's embarrassing. It makes me look weak. And you're just meeting fire with fire, and nothing's going to get cooled down. If you like this video, consider subscribing. We do weekly podcasts with experts in every industry to help you find direction and guide you on your way. Now let's get back into it. You know, so would you say Islam saved you?
110%. 110%. You know, you can never move forward in life with anything, whether it's a bad relationship, anything, unless you learn to let things go. You can't move forward when you're still holding on to something, right? So when I imagine when I first said that I'm openly Muslim, can you imagine what people were saying to me? With my family being half Irish, like English, Irish, my granddad, the family's Irish, and yeah, could you really see that? Like what people were saying to me, like. Not so much family, but friends. Like, are you still on this Muslim stuff? Why are you not drinking? Oh, look at you trying to be this guy now. Because they always had a picture of me that benefited them.
Yeah.
So I always used to benefit them in a way because I was that guy.
And they don't want you to change.
And they don't want me to change because they know that if I change, money stops flowing and they've got no one that can protect them in times when they need it. So for me to pull away, it took a lot. Reputation, respect. I had to kind of leave it all to rebuild and become the person that I wanted to be. Because I never actually wanted to be that person. I was forced into it in childhood. Do you know what I mean? When I used to come home, if the alarm was going off when I got home from school, it meant that the electricity had gone. We used to have to top it up with a little key. And we was always rolling in the red because we were so broke. I was raised in a house with no carpets. So naturally, from a very young age, I was pushed into being, especially again, going back to the environment that I was in. I was pushed towards that life, and because I was always smarter and a lot more capable than all of these guys, it was never going to be by halves. That's why my mum always said I was either going to be a bank robber or a bank manager. There was no in between. I wasn't ever going to be. So I just went flat out for years, and to actually be there and then step away from that, it's very difficult, and that's the reason why many people don't do it. And then to kind of be open about it when building businesses, which I'm very open about it, on the social media. That's very hard for people to do because a lot of them let that past hold them back from creating the future that they want. But when you're just open about who you are, who you were, and how it actually benefited you, nobody can say anything about you because you accept it. What are people going to say? What could anyone say to me?
It's like the last verse of 8 Mile.
Yeah, what could anyone say to me? Really? Oh, you used to rob banks. Oh, you used to do this.
Yeah,
you used to do that. You used to do that.
I already told you that.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I did, but I don't anymore.
Did you actually rob banks?
Allegedly.
Okay.
Allegedly, I burgled and cut open a few cash machines. Allegedly.
I wasn't even there that day. I wasn't even in the country. Interesting. You know, I have this debate a lot with my friend Zach. He's from LA and he sees a lot of the chulos and you know what I mean, the what's that Mexican gang? M something.
I don't know.
MS-15 or something. And he has sympathy for them in the terms of they had no other option. They were born in that situation. And I always challenge him and say, no, that's not right. That you're not born into any situation. Just because you're born there doesn't mean you have to choose to have that path. Now, you're obviously born in that situation. Do you think you could have been a bank manager and never gone down this road?
I honestly, do you know, looking back now, so I actually got a scholarship to an all-boys private school when I was younger. I was entered into a program because of my intelligence, my academics. But because my behaviour outweighed my academics because of what was going on at home. Because when you're a young kid, you're not being developed as a person. So the way I'd react to things emotionally and stuff would affect me in school because of what was going on at home. So that kind of cancelled out a lot of potential opportunities. And because I got locked up when I was 16, there was no opportunity for me after that. There was only 2 ways to actually get out of the situation that we were in. And it was either create a lot of money doing that or create a lot of money through setting up your own business. And at that point, at that age, I didn't have the acumen, or I didn't have the information to set up a business, a thriving business. Because the only barrier to success is information. For example, if we wanted to learn how to fix cars, you wanted to become a mechanic tomorrow, you'd only have to learn how to fix a car. If I wanted to become a crypto trader tomorrow, I'd only have to learn crypto. We all have the same brain and same 2 hands. We just need information. And because I didn't have access to that information because of the environment I was in, that's what restricted me. But I wish if I knew what I knew now, I would have gone back and I would have sought out that information before prison. It was only in prison where I actually delved in. I read every book under the sun, bro. Hundreds and hundreds of books. I've read so many books and paid for so much business coaching to get to where I am now, and then applied it, and then made all the mistakes to then fly.
To then do
you know what I mean?
What would you like? Let's get a coffee. Hi, how are you?
How are you? Oh my God, long time.
A long time. We have a big celebrity in the house today.
Wow,
Different.
different. The king or the prince?
Yeah, this is the prince.
What?
The Prince of England.
The fuck? Assalamu alaikum.
I'm good, sir.
How are you? You okay?
The fucking fuck.
Very well, sir. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah,
Awesome.
he's a professional boxer.
I'm not.
He's a professional boxer.
I'm not.
You know Manny Pacquiao?
Money.
He fought against Manny Pacquiao.
On my knees.
Sir, right?
On my knees, yeah.
Very rich.
Very rich. Very rich.
Thumbs up.
Thank you. Can we get
What's today your coffee?
3 bottles of water,
Okay.
1 caramel latte,
Okay.
cold or warm?
Hot one, yeah?
Yeah, I'll have a warm one.
Hot? Yeah. Warm, not too hot. He wants to drink it now.
Yeah.
And can I get an Americano with a dash of milk and honey?
Oh, sure.
Americano with honey, hot, with a dash of milk.
So only 2 drinks.
2 coffees, 3
and 3
waters, please. Yeah.
She's
What the
crazy.
fuck?
She's absolutely.
I love
She's as nutty as squirrel.
I love that you're like
She's. Yeah.
just like you're like not even your proper voice, just like
Yeah.
I'm talking to her and you're like, the fuck?
What the fuck? Yeah, bro.
The fuck?
The fuck?
What the fuck's happening right now?
She was hiding behind the screen. What does she think I am? Like,
but you're just thinking, the fuck is this cunt doing?
Yeah.
Like,
the prince, the king, what? Who? Yeah, funny enough.
oh, that's so
I
good.
bet these podcasts are so such a laugh.
Yeah, bro. I like your story, man. I appreciate you trusting me with your story. I
Don't worry about
appreciate
it.
you,
Don't
man.
worry about it. I don't mind. Nothing's holding me back anymore, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It can't affect my pocket. I don't care.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But
To be honest, it gives you a lot of, if I showed you the messages that I receive on Instagram, it gives a lot of people inspiration. So sometimes I get negative comments and negative stuff, people from my past, but I get thousands and thousands of DMs from people saying, keep going, you helped me with this today. I needed to hear that today.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, again, like I said, when I'm creating content, I'm speaking to myself in the mirror. I'm speaking to the kid that, if I could have had someone speaking to me, I would have wanted to hear this, and as many people as I can. So those people that it applies to, if it helps them in any way, then that's me righting at least one wrong. Every time it happens, do you know what I mean? And for me, I don't know what my scales are going to look like because I've had so many years of bad decisions. So yeah, I'm just trying to do as much good as possible. Most people out here are trying to graft to be seen. I'm trying to hide, trying to be hidden. Eventually, I'll hit the figure. I'll exit. I'll have my setup. The family office will be established, and I'll disappear. And I'll just be building mosques, and that's me. Because I need to make up for bad time.
It's funny when I sit with my guys, my friend that went to prison for 3 days here. My other friend, his name is, we're not gonna say his name. He went to prison in UK for 8 years. Big black guy from Ghana, and he's like, what you complaining about 3 days? We're always like giving each other shit. What is he complaining about 3 days? They tried doing 8 years, and it's the same as you. You got a mosque, everything. Like Islam found him as well. You know.
Very nice.
It's a funny. It's
Thank you.
It's funny because
sorry, bro. Which one's which? This is cappuccino.
Where's cappuccino? This one is Americano.
Americano. Thank you. Have I paid?
Latte.
Have I paid? No. Yeah. Okay. I can't remember if I paid.
Latte, boss.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I need to speak to your manager. We need to get a sponsorship going on. We always come to you guys. Yeah.
My manager is here.
Is he? Next time.
He left already.
Next time. It's okay.
Yeah, next time.
Thank you.
Sir, have a good
Bye.
day.
Bye. Say bye.
Bye. Bye, sir. Bye, boss.
bye.
The fuck?
The fun.
The fuck?
Yeah. So do you know what? You touched on something interesting there because a lot of people always say, "Oh, everybody reverts to Islam in prison," but you know, many people do. You know, around the world, and the reason for that is because if you're not listening and you're going down a bad path, for example, if your child wasn't listening and he was going down a bad path, right? What would you do? What would you do? You'd strip everything. You'd strip it all away from him. Everything that he could possibly have, you'd take it off him, right? And you try to straighten him out, and you put him in a position to listen to you. You would make him listen to you, and that's what happens. So when people go to prison, then they lose everything, and they've got nothing, and bad things are happening around them. That is the time that they will turn and actually listen, and they will find Allah. Well, he was there all along. Do you know what I mean? He was walking with them. So. Yeah, that's why I put it down to a lot of people do. But again, there's a big difference between reverting to Islam and embracing Islam. You can revert to Islam and hold it in your heart, but to then kind of really pursue it and allow for it to make you into the best person that you could possibly be, that's a whole nother ballgame, because a lot of people aren't willing to kind of give up, sacrifice some of the benefits of, in their eyes, of not being a Muslim. Do you know what I mean?
You know how addicts have relapses, right? Do you think you could relapse back into that life?
No. So, one, I don't take drugs. But in terms of kind of that making haram money and being in that life and being that guy, no. And I'll relate it to something to do with the drugs though. So, in Vietnam, in the times of Vietnam, in the war, a large percentage of the soldiers that went to Vietnam tried heroin, tried opium.
Yeah.
When they left Vietnam, they didn't try it anymore. Why? Because they were no longer in the environment of which they would do that. When people relapse on drugs, when they go to rehab, they don't take the drugs, right? When they leave the rehab and go back into the environment where they were taking it, 9 out of 10 of them actually relapse. So studies show that any bad decision that people make in life, it boils down to the environment that they're in. So for me to start being that guy, I would have to be in the environment where it happened. Do you know what I mean?
But don't you think a crackhead that is a crackhead in London can move to Amsterdam and still look for crack?
Yeah, but that again, because they're in an environment where they can find it. So that's relating to drugs. I don't take drugs, but I don't. But in terms of kind of criminality, for me, I would have to be around everyone that I was. I would have to be in a position where I enjoyed the fast money, because when that money comes, it comes very fast and it comes very big. But I'm not. Do you know what I mean? I'm in Dubai, where everything is possible. I was in an area where there was lack of opportunity. The only opportunity that we had, really, was to do that without getting the information to get out. Do you get it? Because a lot of us made mistakes when we were young kids because of the environment, the houses, the way we were raised, that restricted our access to information, because we get kicked out of school, we get kicked out of college, we couldn't get into university. Back then there wasn't every culture under the sun on social media to learn from. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'd have to be back in that environment, and I'll never go back.
So you know how I said me and my friend Zach, he's from LA, and we debate this all the time. what's your belief to that? Because obviously you've lived it, you've seen it. Have you seen people from your area be able to be the bank manager, not the bank robber?
Yeah, and it boils down to kind of
Choice?
the household.
Household. Got ya. That makes sense. Household, because if your household was more stable, your education would come out.
Of course.
Got ya.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're 13-year-old and there's no food in the fridge and your mum's crying because she's depressed in a dressing gown,
Sure.
and you've got little brothers,
Sure.
and all the other kids have got nice stuff, and you start to look for ways to kind of do that. And then when you fall into a crowd, because again you're on an estate, it's a boiling pot, it's a shark tank.
Yeah.
Because everyone in that area is going through the same shit. So naturally you look at other people and they've already made a bad decision, but they're making money. So then what you do is, now you're knocking around with these people, you want to make that same money. And then you realize that they're idiots and that you can make 10 times more money. You then end up becoming the leader, not realizing that now you're leading people down a bad path. And now you've delved in now.
Got ya.
How
would you fix that?
How would I fix that?
Yeah, let's say you're a politician right now. You're the prime minister. How would
I fix that? How would I fix that?
Yeah.
I'd create Dubai the same laws that we have in the UAE.
No drugs.
Zero tolerance.
Zero tolerance.
Zero
on
tolerance.
Drugs. Yeah.
Zero tolerance,
Yeah, I would too.
because this is the thing. My father took drugs, right? As well as being a very dark character, and it's an ongoing cycle. So if your father's not around and you're in an epic place where there's so much badness, you're naturally going to fall into that life, and then you're going to become the person that is not there for your son. Do you get it?
Got ya.
So it's a cycle. Right? And to break that cycle, it takes something like this to happen to me. I've broken a cycle.
Yeah.
So I'm basically the reason that my descendants are going to get into heaven. Yeah. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Obviously give thanks to Allah, but before me, there wasn't any of that. It would have just been a cycle. I can see it sometimes with my relatives, my cousins and stuff.
You're right.
It's just an endless cycle.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to break the cycle. But the ones that are in their good homes, they've got stability, they've got a father that's like on them, and they've got like a mother that's like nurturing, and she can look after them and stuff, because she's not kind of going through too much. Yeah.
They can get out of it.
They can focus on their education. They can get to where they need to. They get the information. It's all information.
Even if they are in a council housing, even if they are surrounded by that, they can still get out of it.
Yeah, again, but it boils down to kind of the bad choices that you make as a kid, because that one bad choice that you make as a kid will snowball and will affect the rest of your life.
Yeah, of course.
Because you're a kid and you don't understand. You make that choice, you get caught.
Yeah.
You are done.
Yeah.
You look at Anthony Joshua. Same. Went to prison, came out, realized, and then delved into something because he had that drive in him. The one good thing that life gave me is drive and resilience. Yeah. This is why I wouldn't change it. If I could go back and do certain things different, I would, but I wouldn't ever regret it, should I say?
Sure.
Because it made me the person who I am. I've got a different outlook on life. When I walk through the streets of Dubai, I can see dynamics that people can't see, and that comes from that life. I can see a snake from a mile off. I can see the good in the bad and the bad in the good. Some people that people wouldn't go near, I can see the light in them. And some people that people think are good, I can see it in their eyes straight away. Yeah. When I'm sat at tables with people, you say it's very clicky. Yeah, you say it's very clicky sometimes. I can be at a table with people and I can see the dynamics of the entire friendship group from the get-go.
Of course.
It gave me wit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It gave me savviness. You can't get, half of these people are wrapped in a bubble. If something bad happened to them now, they'd cry.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You know why though? Because 80% of communication is non-verbal.
Yep.
That's why there's no such thing as lie. You can't lie to anyone.
No.
The truth's always out.
Always out.
Your eyes can tell you the truth. You know what I mean? Your behavior. So, okay. You've read a lot of books. What's one book that you recommend everyone reads besides the Quran?
Stick to the mastery books, the common ones, but
have you read the Way of the Superior Man?
No.
Oh,
no.
Man, what a book.
So
changed my life.
All the typical ones, you can imagine, the 48 Laws of Power, the 33 Strategies of War, the Art of War. They're all good books to begin with.
The Art of War is beautiful.
Yeah, the Art of War. Your Next 5 Moves.
It's great.
The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. It's not about the Prophet, peace be upon him. It's a book with many philosophies in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, to be honest, the best book is the Quran.
The Quran.
It breaks down everything logically.
Yeah.
Even when I revert to Islam, I'm a very logical person. Very, very, very logical person. And for me to accept it, anyone else with logic, I feel would, if they're ready. Because you can't, sometimes you'll get people arguing or you'll get people saying bad things, negative things about Islam. And the way I see it is, you cannot love or hate a book that you have never read.
Sure.
Read the book. People talk about how to be a masculine man.
Yeah.
Mate, honestly, bro, you would have swung. Like, there's a saying, like, when they go and get stuff, the tough get going.
Correct.
And in certain times, in the hard times, some men run and some men stay. And I look for the ones that stay. Like anyone that I do business with, I'm friends with, I look for the people that are good in the bad times, because everyone's good in the good times. And then you'll notice in the bad times, they're doing each other over in business. They're not looking after their families and stuff. So it's like, I just don't pay no attention to it. These Dubai guys, like, I'm just me. And you either like it or you don't. And I tell a lot of people this to be authentic, because if you're not your true self and you don't tell people, then in the belief that you're going to restrict the amount of money you can make from social media, you are daft. There are 7-8 billion people in the world. Yeah. I guarantee there is a big enough demographic of like-minded people that are very similar to yourself that you can sell to for you to at least make 100 M's. There is no reason why you can't just be yourself. I'll attract people that are like myself, and I'll help them, and I'll help them to solve problems, and we'll make it very scalable, and we'll leverage media and make dough. So yeah.
You're still human, so you make mistakes. Right. God's made us all human, and we all make mistakes. Jesus made mistakes. And in Islam, we believe in Jesus. He's not our last prophet. There was Muhammad after him. But Christians believe Jesus was the last one. That's what religion is. Religion, they don't believe in the person that came after them. Right? So Christians don't believe in Islam, and so on, right? What's your favorite sin?
There's no favorite. I believe that, for one, we should conceal our sins. We should really conceal our sins, unless it's going to benefit the ummah, or like to be able to. If I give you my story, it's because I'm teaching you to not make the same mistakes as me. But we all sin, and and anything that I do moving forward, unless I feel that from telling you it's going to benefit you, I'm not going to do it, because we should conceal our sins. And Allah gave us the ability to conceal them, because if we all walked around, brother, with our sins written on our skin and our forehead, we wouldn't go near the driver. You wouldn't go near me. I wouldn't go near you. Nobody would go near anybody. Do you get what I'm saying? So there's no favourite.
Good answer.
It's just we're all human. Things are going to happen, but it's how you deal with it. Things are going to happen. It's just how frequently it's going to happen. If you can actively make a change to make that happen less frequently, then you're doing your bit, and you ask for forgiveness. I would never disclose any of my private personal life on social media. When I look at social media, I look at it as a tool, and I use it as a tool to make money within my business and to help others. What I don't do, I never ever delve into my private life. I don't even create lifestyle content, and I like to keep it that way, because for me, that's the one thing that I get to keep. Whereas when you when people start to follow you because of your private life, it's because they want that life. And a lot of the time they cast evil eye without knowing it, right? So for example, from my Instagram, you didn't know how old I was. Did you know do I have a dog? Do I have a dog? Do I have kids? Do I have family? Where do I live? Nobody knows anything. And I like to keep it that way, because when people watch you and want what you've got, it can affect people around you. Trust me.
Does the Quran mention anything about the evil eye?
Recollecting. See, I'm not a hafiz of the Quran. So when I read it, again, I have to read it in a transliteration, because I can't recite Arabic. The most Arabic that I can recite is to pray. I only know enough.
So you read the Quran in English? I
read the Quran in English. Okay. And when I go back to it, I'll go back to it as and when, and read as much as I can, because my iman is just like anyone else's. It goes like this, all right? Yeah. So the last time I really, except for Ramadan, that I really sat down and really read was the Ramadan before, when I was in Mecca. So for me, I'd have to look. I don't want to give the wrong or right answer. Again, why? Because little knowledge is worse than no knowledge at all.
The reason I say that is because I've always thought the notion of evil eye was so bullshit. I'll tell you why. What's greater than God? Nothing. So you're telling me this man here is going to cast some evil eye and he's going to deteriorate, he's going to throw God's plan for me away? Throw me off my road that God has paid for me? What's more powerful than God? This man that God created?
True. But again, without delving into it too much, because I'm not a scholar and I do not ever want to give wrong information, but I can only tell you what I believe. So I believe that although everything is written, I do believe that we can change that. We can rewrite. Okay? Now,
I'll tell you something about that.
I know that people can make good dua. I know that people can make bad dua. I know that people can wish bad on you, and I know that people can wish good on you. And I've seen firsthand what happens when you pray and other people pray for you. I've seen what happens in my life. I've seen miracles happen, right? So I know I feel in my mind that if enough people wish bad upon you and make, whether it's bad dua or just wishing bad on you, I do believe that can affect you. Yeah, I do.
So then that's shaitan then?
Yeah.
Throwing off God's plan?
Yeah, or trying to. Sometimes, you know what, I get weird feelings, you know? Sometimes when people cross my path in life, it can be a woman, it can be anything. They can cross my path and I look at them and I'll think, why are you here right now? Like, why? I just get a weird feeling like they've actually specifically been placed there to throw me off my flow. I know it happens. It happens. So you've got to be very careful of the people that you're around as well. And also, why would you want that? Why would you want people wishing bad on you? Why would you want to create jealousy in the heart of people? Why would you not want to be humble? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Islam teaches us to be modest and be humble. So for me, I'm not about showboating. I'm not about, look at me, look at my family, look at this, look at everything I got. No, I just want to provide value, and if that helps you, that helps you.
If you like this video, consider subscribing. We do weekly podcasts with experts in every industry to help you find direction and guide you on your way. Now let's get back into it.
In Dubai, honestly, these women, I'd stay away from, like, the majority of them anyway. Not meaning to bash anyone, but a lot of them look good from far, but they're far from good.
I agree.
You don't want them around you.
Yeah, to be honest with you, like, I look back on my exes that I had in Australia, and they were just such good quality women compared to the women that we have here. Good quality women. Like, you know, at the beginning when you're 22, 23 years old, you're starting out, you're moving out with your girlfriend, you might have financial issues. My girlfriend would pay for rent for 2 months, 3 months to support me until I get back on my feet. We would support each other. And I remember I was on a date and I told the girl that, and she started losing it laughing, like it was the funniest joke she's ever heard. She goes, "What? A man making me pay for rent? That's the silliest thing I've ever heard."
Yes.
Like, I'm not there for you if you don't have money. That's what she's saying to me. Yo, I am not there for you if you don't have money.
Is that here?
That's here.
Yeah, everything's transactional.
Everything.
It's hard to find someone that, even in life in general, it's very hard to find unconditional love. And when you do, keep it. Because a lot of the time it is transactional.
Especially in Dubai.
But do you know what? To be honest, again, it's our duty anyway. But not to a girlfriend, not to a pre-wife, to the wife. Like, it's our duty anyway. What's ours is theirs. So you can't complain.
But here's the thing: you'd wife someone that doesn't
want it. Yeah.
Yes.
Doesn't expect it.
You know what I mean?
When they ask for it, nah.
No. I had one girl I went on a date with. She said to me, "Show me a photo of your parents' house." It's our first date. Show me a photo of your parents' house. She started laughing. Oh, I don't have one. She's just trying to see if I come from a rich family.
Yeah, of course.
But that's not even the right way of doing it, because you're going to be with somebody that you don't love for 30 years in hopes that his parents are going to die one day and you're going to get some inheritance.
No. You know, money comes and goes. Money, trust me, money comes and goes. Yeah. And I made it twice in my life. I've lost it twice in my life, made it back again. Money comes and goes. But what people don't realize is that character stays the same. And if you get a good girl, and you can be happy in a shed, you can be, honestly, like, good girl, you could be wearing a black bag. You could wear a bin bag. I don't care.
Rice bag.
Your rice bag.
Okay.
But for them, a lot of the time, it's very transactional.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that's not true happiness.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's definitely not. And they don't realize that until they're 40 and they've lost their looks.
Yeah. And then they're wondering why all the friends are wifed off and got kids and beautiful families and husbands that love them because they focused on that.
Correct.
Rather than running around with the fuckboys.
Correct. You know, I'll tell you something about money. It comes and flows, right? And the more you flow, the more it comes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a transfer of energy. So if you release more energy will come to you. Now, what I'm saying, people can take it differently, going, oh, the more money I spend, the more money I get. Okay, cool. Let me go buy some drugs, right?
Yeah.
Wherever it is, wherever in the world they are. Obviously not in Dubai, and then they're into their haram activities. Not like that. But the more you flow into net positive things, helping, charity, right? Business, these things like capitalism that creates jobs and everything. The more you flow, it's like a bike, it's like a cycle. The more that comes back, always.
Yeah, of course, 100%. No, you hit the nail on the head again. It's all about intent. You can even be doing bad things, brother. Like we don't know what you do in your personal life. We don't know what a lot of people do. But as long as your intention and your heart is clean, you want good. You're striving towards good. You're trying your hardest to be good. He will bless you. And you take one step closer to Allah, he'll take 10 steps closer to you. So if you help people out, so what we even in the studio, there's a prayer room for anyone to use in the studio. And we like to keep it that way. We don't allow people to come and create musical content. We try to keep it because we believe that we'll receive barakah if we walk with God, right? And even on our discovery calls, when someone books a call and they drop into the calendar, if I end up taking the call because all the calendars are full, I'll drop as much free game and value as possible to help them to achieve their goal without even giving us their money. And do you get what I mean? We actually try to help people. When you do that, it comes anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It comes anyway.
Just help people out.
Yeah.
And then you'll notice, honestly, some people call it manifestation, I call it prayer, but there'll be times where I'll be thinking, right, I need to be sat in front of this person. They will DM me and I'll be like, wow. Or this is the next play. I need to do this. I need to do that. And I'll find myself being invited to somewhere and the play just gets laid out on a plate.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel that's because we're 99% on the right path.
And who do you think that is? Do you think that's God, or do you think that's somebody that you love that's passed away?
I think it's Allah.
It's God.
Because no one can create anything other than Him.
Good point.
No one can create other than Him. So opportunity, anything. But I do believe that people, when they die, they can speak. Obviously, they're in the afterlife. They can speak on your behalf and stuff. But I don't know because I'm not dead. I don't know, and I'm not going to know until that time comes.
Why is Islam so evilized in the West?
I'll tell you why. Coming from a revert that was very ignorant towards Islam before, the way the media portrays Islam in the UK is not the real core of Islam. So I didn't know before becoming Muslim that if, for example, how we would treat a homeless person, if someone crossed our door, how we actually treat our women, how women are the biggest historians and preservers of Islam and sometimes the biggest educators. We just think beforehand, I would just think that Islam was about oppressing women. But then when you actually look at society and stuff, and you look at, for example, whether you look at all these girls getting BBLs, get lip fillers, you look at the white girls getting BBLs to look black, and you look at the black girls straightening their hair and lightening their skin to look white, and you look at how society oppresses them. Why did you get that done? You did not get that done because you wanted to get that done. You got that done because society tells you that that's beautiful. So society made that decision on your behalf. So you are oppressed by society. So when people, but the hijabi woman is at home and she's modest and she's with her husband, whether she's hijabi or not, but she's modest and she's got a loving husband that doesn't care she doesn't need to change her body in any way and nobody else gets to see it. She's not oppressed. She's free. But society will flip that and say she's oppressed. When really, the first restrictions were put on men. We were told to lower our gaze before any restrictions were put on a woman. And we're supposed to dress modestly and act in a way that is humble and right. So we're told what to do first. But the way the media portrays it is they make the women wear this. They beat them. They do this. They do that. they'll do this to you, they'll hurt you. They try to boycott and use propaganda to turn people away from Islam, because in this world there's obviously clear evil, right? You see rape, you see murder, you see all these bad things happening. So there has to be an equal and opposite force, which is pure good. Yeah. So pure evil, the shaitan's biggest weapon is to cast doubt in the mind. And the way that they do that, I believe, in the UK is through media. Why? Because again, even in business, media is the biggest leverage. It allows you to speak to hundreds of thousands of people at one time, which is what allows you to sell a ton of shit using attraction marketing. But it's the same when trying to deliver any message. Media allows you to speak to hundreds of thousands of people at one time. So you can deliver a message that can cast doubt and pull people away from good. You get it? And that's what it is. The West is not set up like it.
You know, I think that if the West loses Christianity, that's the death of the West, because then they're not law.
I just picked my nose in your podcast.
You what?
I just picked my nose in your podcast.
That's okay.
You can keep that in there.
And I think already that the West is losing Christianity, and I think if it loses Christianity, that's the end of the West, because then there's no more God-fearing people there, right? Do you go out to bars, clubs, anything like that?
Sometimes, yeah, because a lot of my friends, they're not Muslim. They're white, and they don't really hold religion too close to the heart, a lot of them. But they're my day one friends and family. Like, I love them to pieces. And a lot of them are questioning, some of them I've actually reverted, but a lot of them are questioning, like, they're delving into Islam a bit. But they'll go out, and if they have a drink, I just don't drink.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. What someone else does doesn't really affect me. And to be honest, sometimes it's like a little game in my head. I like to know. I like to know that I can sit in that environment and look the devil in the eye, and you can't get me. You can't have me no more.
You know, I don't drink either.
Yeah, it's good.
I drank more than anyone you can think of back in when uni days, all that, right? But now I don't drink, and I think it's my superpower. Yeah, it's just double espressos after double espressos.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, and it's funny because people go, "Are you really not having it? You're not having a drink?" I'm like, "What benefit do I get? A hangover? What benefit? I don't get any benefit." When we used to go out years ago, again, we'd be making all this. So we'd be making all this dough. So we'd go out for 2-3 days on the bounce. We'd go anywhere. You can imagine. So imagine you're going out on a Friday, you're going out on a Saturday, you're hungover on a Sunday, right? That's 3 days out of the week. That's 6 months out of the year. So that's 6 months out of the year that you're grafting to earn money, and the other 6 months you're spending it. And for what? To do what? And there's always an emptiness. You don't ever get any goodness out of it. No. It's for me, yeah. I prefer, if I have a good time, I go out, I don't drink, and I just laugh at people.
But you know what it is? It's also, the West has got such a culture where you can't go out and not drink, right? Like, what do you mean you're going to drink? Yeah. And
especially in the UK, it's all around the pub.
Bro, I'm from Australia, right? You guys sent your criminals over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we got the worst of you guys there. No, I'm kidding. I love Australia. But over there, it's like, listen, we've got stories for days. Like, obviously the boys getting together for pre-drinks before we go out and stuff like that. It looks some of the best times of my life, right? Looking back on it. And you're young, you're 18, 19, 20 years old, whatever it is. But now, in Dubai, what I love about it is there's no culture of drinking. And right now, it's like when I go out and I don't drink, it's kind of like my superpower. It's almost like a flex for me.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
No, I know.
I don't need it.
Yeah, I don't need it. And I love it. I love the fact that, like, you can, we're on point. Nothing can throw me off. You can try, but nothing's ever going to throw me off again. I'm too disciplined. But one thing that I like about Dubai is, I like the fact that you can go, it's sunny. You don't want to do anything like that. You can go to a beach bar. Yeah. You can open your laptop. You can crack on. Bearing in mind, I'm working all the time, half the time anyway. Open your laptop, delve into work. It's a good vibe. You've got a mocktail. It's got no alcohol in it. It tastes just as good. The sun's beaming on your head. Everyone's having a good time, and you're grafting, cracking away. It's
the best.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's the best. I love it. What more do you need? Why do you have to get pissed out of your head and jump in the pool?
Yeah. What's your relationship like with nicotine, with cigarettes?
So, with me, I used to smoke a lot, and then I stopped. And then every now and again, if I smoke shisha, what'll happen is I'll start to pick up the cigars now, and then I have to put them down, and the vape sometimes. But I try to stay away from them. I try to stay away from them because as soon as I step back in the gym, I'm back on it again for a good 12 weeks to 6 months, and then I'll stop. Just like anyone else, and I'll go into that state where I just can't be bothered to do anything. I'm too busy working, and then smoking shisha and messing around. And then you get back into your flow state again, and you're like, no, not touching anything, flat out for 2 years, and then back in. It happens.
Back in. Yeah.
Everybody does it.
That's cycle.
Yeah.
See, I cut out completely nicotine, everything. Like, I never vaped anyways, but shisha, I did a lot of. You know what I mean? It's
the trigger. It starts. All starts with a shisha.
Yeah.
That would be like having one sip of a drink.
Yeah.
That's where I see shisha. The minute you put shisha to your mouth, it just opens up a can of worms.
Yeah, I know.
My personal brand attracts a lot of people to our agency because of how much I've scaled it within the last 30 days.
Yes.
I was shadow banned after supporting Gaza. So I was stuck at 6,000 followers for a long time because I made reels. And I got into it with Ben Shapiro and a few other large creators, Nate Buzz, a few others. I don't know if you saw that. They were stitching my reels and they were going viral and then ended with thousands of Israeli death threats.
Wow.
This is before you knew. Yeah, so I was stuck. Because, you know what Ben Shapiro is, right?
Yeah, of course. Crazy.
I made a few reels about Netanyahu. He didn't like it. Anyway, so I was shadow banned. And after a lot of back and forth with Meta, I received an email about 2 months ago, about a month and a half ago, saying, we've not shadow banned yet. But I knew that was them lifting the shadow ban, but not wanting to tell me. Because they shadow banned anyone for supporting Gaza, right? So
that's fucked up.
At that point, I created a reel following our checklist. We have a specific checklist on what dictates whether a video is going to go viral or not. From the content research through to the SEO, to the way it's scripted, to the way it's shot and edited, everything. Everything that we do in our agency is done in a way to increase views, view time, engagement, virality, and following. And I shot the video following the checklist down to a T. And it went viral. So I knew that the ban had been lifted. So all I did then is I posted value consistently for 30 days and took it from 6,000 followers to over 100K. In about 40 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Massive effort.
Yeah. So my personal brand attracts a lot of our clients.
If anybody knows, Khalid knows. Thank you, my brother. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Really appreciate it. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you for trusting me with your story.
Don't worry about it.
I appreciate it.
I hope that it inspires people and it shows that that as long you can change the choice, you can never forget who you are. And just be authentic and have vision.
Beautiful. Appreciate you. Out.